Hey, I want to talk to photographers who are wondering, where are all my clients? Where are all my leads right now? This time of year, this is the time when you should be the most busiest of all year. And if you're not, I want to help you out with that. So I'm coming at you with some questions that we've been asked in our group. We have this wonderful group, Rise to the Top with Megan DiPiero. And in it, we talk all things that matter to the business of photography. And we fielded some questions just today. People are wondering, how do I grow? How am I going to grow this business of mine? And I know that the first thing everyone thinks is, I need more clients. That's probably what you're thinking. If you're not having enough sales in the year, the obvious answer is, let me get more. But more of the same may not actually be what you need. So I'm going to answer today, what do you need? Hang with me. Eric's got some special questions. He's going to fire at me, questions that you guys have asked in the group. And so if you're not already in Rise to the Top, I want to invite you to head there. It's on Facebook, Rise to the Top with Megan DiPiero. Now listen, you're also going to notice that it is our, look at this sparkly background behind me. That's because we are celebrating our cyber sale and sweepstakes. We do this once a year. I love this time of year. Isn't this the time of year when you're feeling really excited about 2026? You're starting to wonder, what plans do you need to make to be even more successful, more productive, better revenue, happier clients? That's what we're all wondering. It is going to start with focusing on business. So Eric's got the questions for me. Let's hit them up. Eric, what question do you have?
Well, hello, Megan. You look lovely this evening.
Thank you.
All right, so this webinar is to answer people's questions about Level Up, your most popular workshop.
Yes.
And so let's start with this softball. What is the Level Up workshop and what does it cover?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Okay, Level Up workshop is our pricing and sales mastery workshop. I made this workshop for two reasons. First of all, I made it thinking about the Megan when I was starting. So little background, guys, when I first began, once upon a time, I was $250 shoot and burn. Once upon a time, I thought $500 was ludicrous to charge. These days, my highest sale has been $42,000. So yes, in our group, literally today, right now, you can see in our group, someone posted about a $75,000 sale. People do pay what they might pay for a car. They pay for portrait memories of who they love. Now, I know that might sound insane. That really sounded crazy to me when I started. When I started, I put numbers down on paper and I realized I actually must average $3,000. So even that I thought was crazy. How do you move from $250 average sale to $3,000 average sale? That's what I had to solve. That's what Level Up teaches. But beyond just being a course for people in the beginning, people like Megan circa 2010, maybe you circa 2025, this is also the workshop that grows with you, because our students, hundreds of them now, have had a $10,000 sale. And as I just mentioned, even multi-five-figure sales. So the more that you dial in the details, the more that you focus on service and sales mastery, the better that you can serve your client and the bigger sales you can have. So studying this course again and again is really going to benefit you. I think we've got another question. What else do you have?
Okay, a frequent question that people like to ask, how can I compete in an oversaturated market?
Okay. Is your market oversaturated? Is it just me? My market is oversaturated. Your market is oversaturated. Every market, maybe in the world, is oversaturated. This is the nature of the beast. And listen, again, when I started 2010, remember the digital revolution happened in 2008. So used to be that there would just be a handful of photographers on the scene. Well, listen, just like you, I got my camera when my kids were little babies. I started taking photos of them and suddenly I'm a photographer, right? That's how it happens. So every time that we have gone through a recession, we have seen that more photographers enter the scene. When it's tough economic times, people say to themselves, it's the gig economy. What can I do to make money? And we are seeing more and more and more photographers enter the scene. So you're not going crazy if it feels like your market is oversaturated. Everyone feels like that. But here's the thing you may not realize. Your market is only saturated at the bottom of the pyramid. So if you're thinking of a pyramid like this, we have way down at the bottom every new photographer entering the scene. And then sometimes they get a little bold and they start going to the mid-market. And listen, pro tip, if your average sale right now is between $500 to $1,500, you're mid-market. And mid-market is the place where sales go to die, because now you're being compared with every photographer everywhere. You're touching the bottom of the market, you're also touching the top of the pyramid. So really, truly, the only place to go is to rise to the top. That's the name of the game, right? So in my market, oversaturated though it may be, there are maybe 10 photographers in a market serving 800,000 people. Maybe 10 of them are at my price range. So I truly have a blue ocean. I'm not bothered by all the new photographers entering the market. I'm not bothered by AI headshots, because I know that my really only competition is myself. I'm competing with myself. I'm competing to be better and better every single year. I don't have to worry about new people entering the market. I simply have to keep serving at the highest level. So if you have a heart that calls for service, if you're a good person and you have empathy and love for your client, you can rise to the top. You can be a sales pro with a mission like that. All right, what else, Eric?
All right, a couple of people have asked, will this program work for me if I don't have a studio?
Yeah, what if you don't have a studio? My first year, I didn't have a studio. I was on location only. And with that on location only, here's what the record showed. I did 11 photo shoots in 1 year. I averaged $3,300 per client. So guess what? That means I made $33,000 revenue. Unfortunately, we don't get to keep all of that $33,000. We have business costs like any business does. So that wasn't enough to sustain my income. I needed to go full time. I needed to put more energy and focus into the marketing side of things. And so yes, I rose up. Still to this day, I love me an on-location shoot. And absolutely, you can have multi-5-figure sales purely on location. You do not need a studio to succeed. But I will tell you, those of you up north, if you are heading into January and you live in Michigan or Pennsylvania or New York, what are you going to do? Right? You're going to be in trouble if you don't have a studio. So eventually I realized I would find it helpful to have a studio, because with a studio I can run every month of the year and keep making predictable profit. So I would recommend that you find a solution which is indoors, but it doesn't need to be a commercial space. I didn't have a studio, a commercial studio, for the first 7 years of my business. I had a home studio. I operated out of my primary bedroom, which means we kicked ourselves out of the bedroom and we went into the guest room, and half of our home was scrunched into one side of our home and the rest of it was studio. You can make any kind of accommodation, from garage studio, rent or borrow a space, create something in your master bedroom as we did. There's all kinds of options, so get creative with it. Don't let no be no. I love to say, don't say no, say how. How can you solve the problem of photographing sessions every month of the year, including that bad weather season? All right, we have another question. I think it's related to that.
Yes. So I do have a studio, but I'm not sure it's elevated enough for luxury clients. Perhaps it's in a basement, maybe it's in my home, etc.
Okay, so you guys have probably seen that I have this YouTube series called Studios That Sell. And yes, I know I'm behind. Don't worry. In the new year, coming up in January, we're going to have lots more episodes, 1 per month, we hope. But in the meantime, you can see Studios That Sell has its first edition out. You do not need a perfect studio. You do need a functioning studio. You do need an elevated studio, but there's many ways that you can elevate your studio. So in Studios That Sell, you're gonna see how on a budget, I go to people and I help make their spaces better. It can be as simple as decluttering. Oh my God, is decluttering important? Another thing I did is, when I started my my home studio space, I realized that I had to kick the kids out of it. So in my home, we had zones that were off limits. They stayed clean all the time. They stayed perfect all the time. The kids were allowed to read books or do puzzles in that room, and that was it. So make your space clean, declutter it. I also felt really proud that I had Williams & Sonoma soap, and I had beautiful white fluffy hand towels, and I had chilled beverages for clients. So there are small things you can do that will make your space feel more special. We always want to put forward what is positive and subtract what is negative. So, if you have things that could be elevated, do that, but you can definitely design on a budget. And remember, your first impression does not need to be your studio. Because if you follow the Level Up program, you're going to learn that I'm a really fan of big fan of doing consultations first. So in fact, your first impression is going to be going to the client. That way they feel all the professionalism, all the care that full service provides. And therefore, it doesn't necessarily have to be that walking up to your home is the first thing they see. What else?
Okay.
And you can also ask questions too. So if you happen to be watching this on YouTube Live or Facebook Live, we would love to see your questions there. Go ahead and ask questions.
Definitely. All right, a couple people today were a little confused. What is the difference between Level Up and Level Up Bootcamp?
Level Up Bootcamp. Okay, Level Up is the workshop that we've been selling for years to great success. We are very proud and honored that we have trained the top 1% of photographers. Many of our students go on to build multi-six-figure studios. So it is incredibly productive, fast working, high quality sales and pricing mastery workshop. So you could absolutely study this at home. In fact, it's about 10 hours of content. And so if you have it in you to watch 2 5-hour days, you could have this program finished in a weekend and ready to roll on Monday. And in fact, we have students who, believe it or not, their very first sale, they studied on a Friday, they sold on a Monday, they sold $10,000. So this is possible, this is real. You can have success like this. But what if you need more hand-holding? Because it's also come to my attention that there are many people who, with the best of intentions, buy the workshop, especially like now on our cyber sale, and then they just simply do not complete the workshop. So if you're the kind of person, and you know who you are, who you would benefit from extra hand-holding, attention, and support, that's where Level Up Bootcamp comes in. Level Up Bootcamp is a 5-week course. I say there is no one left behind. I'm going to be on your tail to make sure that you finish 100% of the workshop. It's super powerful when you have that helping hand, when you have a community around you. That's Level Up Bootcamp. Now, Level Up Bootcamp at this moment is sold out in full, but we will have new openings starting in the new year. So feel free to join us then. And if you buy Level Up on sale now, then you can add on Bootcamp for only $199. It's a very special promo we're running. It's right now with the cyber sale. Know that your seat awaits you for only $199, and you will have 5 weeks of my personal attention holding your hand and taking you through the course. We'll get you into that.
All right, Megan. Speaking as one of these questioners, I've tried other education. What makes your courses different?
Okay, what makes Level Up different than everything else? Well, okay guys, I can't apologize for the last educator you had, but I will say this, I am more than any other educator I know, I am dedicated to your success. This is how dedicated I am. I want you to take me up on this. I want you to right now write down my phone number, and I want you to know that I am always a text away. 239-898-4112. In fact, you're going to need that phone number because later tonight at 9 p.m. we are doing our drawing. And if you've bought any of our workshops during the cyber promo and you enter your name and we draw you, then you're going to need to call me because winners will have 60 seconds to call to claim their prize. It's all very exciting. It's all going out in Rise to the Top right now. But just to let you know, last year when we ran the Cyber Sweepstakes, it was almost every winner I pulled, and there were thousands of people who owned the courses. Almost every winner was already in my phone. I make it a point of pride and connection that I am walking the talk. I'm going to tell you to connect deeply with your clients, to care about their personal growth. And because of that, I care about your personal growth. So I want to make sure that my students don't get left behind, that you keep on polishing your business, getting better and better year after year. I'm the most connected educator. I have the proven content that works. We have thousands of students that have used this to grow their business, and you should be next. And another thing in particular that I love is that when you learn Level Up, you're not just learning from a photographer, you're learning from someone who's been in the sales industry since I was 17 years old. I have 30 years of experience in sales. I bring that to you, and I'm going to show you beyond just what photographers know. I'm going to show you what interior designers know. I'm going to show you what Ritz-Carlton luxury sales pros know. And I'm going to show you how to develop this business to work in every market. Nothing is cookie cutter. It is all designed for you, your goals, and your success.
All right, well, I think we should just wrap this up and go post this and
All right.
get you back on the phones.
You're going to see me back in this sparkly world, at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. So make sure you set an alarm. I'll see you in Rise to the Top. We'll solve more problems there.